Yeah, so getting back to Guadeloupe. So we head down to, I fly over, they fly me over to San Diego, and they want to put a camera on a shark. So, and it's very rudimentary. I don't know why they use this rudimentary equipment, but I designed a fin clamp. So, because they said to me they wanted to just do something. Oh yeah, this was the thing. They weren't too concerned about losing cameras. They just wanted to get some shots of a camera on the back of a shark. Because by this time, yeah, you could buy those little digital cameras, and they were small and cheap. You know, you pay a couple $100 or for a camera, but they're top quality when it comes to the actual footage you get, or the video you get is well, not the video, but the images you get are top quality. So before I come out, I say to them, okay, give me the measurements of this camera. So they tell me the smallest camera they can get. And this was before there were GoPros, which is unfortunate. The GoPro would have worked perfectly. So anyway, they tell me, so I say, okay, what we do? I say, you just make up just make up aluminium tubes that are sealed with a plexiglass on the front. And I said, and somehow seal it at the back, and the camera must just fit into it. So the idea is to slide the camera in, you switch it on, you slide the camera in, because it's digital, so it can run for a couple of hours. You slide it in, and then I just stuck some oil, foam on the top of the camera. So you don't want the thing rolling around like this. So we just put some foam. So the idea was to put the camera on, and then the shark would swim around, and the foam would keep the camera in a reasonably stable condition. And I said, well, we can just put this on. We can either just tag it onto the sharks, or we can use a fin clamp. And a fin clamp is very simple. It's just a clamp like that, and the camera went on the side of on one side of the clamp. So you've got this clamp, and the camera just attached with another little clamp onto the shark fin clamp. And then you had to get the shark into position so that you could actually put the clamp, as the shark swims past like this, as it swims past, you lean over the side of the boat and you smack the clamp onto the fin. And all I did, I put skewer sticks into the clamp. So I forced the clamp open because it was spring loaded, and put skewer sticks into it, so that as you hit it on, you break the skewer sticks, and the clamps onto the fin of the shark. So very, very simple. And the reason I kept it so simple was because we only had 3 or 4 days on the water at Guadeloupe, off Mexico. So before I arrived there, I say to History Channel, or the production company that's filming it for History Channel, I say to them, listen, how good are these guys on the boats that go out there? I mean, how good are they? Are they proper shark wranglers? And the producer comes back to me and he says, oh, well, as far as he knows, they're really good and they know what they're doing and blah, blah, blah. But you must remember, we used to work in off small boats, 20-foot boats, like 6-meter boats, 8-meter boats, and we work with the sharks very, very closely. These are big boats. They 30-meter little ships, and they live aboard boats. So you can't work properly with great white sharks like that. I mean, you can't ever work and ever become professional working off large boats like that when it comes to great white sharks. It's just too big. You know, cages in the way and all the rest of it. So I say to them, listen, there's no ways we can put a clamp on a shark, a fin clamp onto a shark off a boat like that. We need a smaller boat, a little skiff. So anyway, they just bring this little tiny skiff with this little dinghy. I don't even think it had an engine on the back of it. And we just climbed into it, myself and the captain eventually climbed into it, and we went out to put the fin cam onto the shark. So I say to History Channel, I say, listen, I'd rather bring one of my guys out with me. I said, because we're a team. We work with these animals professionally every single day. But let me bring one of my team out, and we'll put the camera onto the shark very easy, because I don't even have to tell Mike or Gerald or Grant. I didn't have to tell any of them what to do. They just knew what to do, and that's how we worked with professional great white sharks. So to cut budget, they just eventually say no. The crew on this boat are really good. It's a Mexican crew. Anyway, I land in San Diego eventually. We go through Tijuana, over the border down to Ensenada, and we get onto liveaboard and we head out to sea, and it's fantastic. I'm having a ball of a time. Eating Mexican food and good Mexican music the night before, and drinking tequilas and having a good old-fashioned time. But we get out there, now it's serious stuff, and it takes about, I think it takes like 24 hours to get out there. It's quite a long trip out. I got my own cabin, very nice cabin, my own shower, everything, no problem. Because the film crew, they have to hide the whole boat. And the food the guys are cooking on that boat. The chefs, there's 2 chefs and that, cooking the awesome food. It's a nice operation, a really good operation they got going. But we get out there, and eventually we get sharks, and we get this one monster shark. It's a solid 18-footer, and it's got a big dorsal fin. It's cruising around pretty slowly, and we got this little 16-foot skiff that 2 guys can pick up. So I'm looking at this big monster shark and the little skiff, and I'm thinking, holy cow, this is going to be a whole different thing. The shark could literally tip the thing over in an instant, So I figure, well, drift us off the back of the boat about 30 feet. And I figure, now, even if something really goes wrong, we end up in the water. I've only got 30 feet to swim, or 10 meters to swim back to the safety of the boat. But the problem I had was that these guys don't know how to work with great white sharks, because they're working from this big platform. So when it comes to working on a small boat, guys clueless. So the captain is my shark wrangler, and a super nice guy, hell of a nice guy, nothing wrong with that, but completely useless with handling great white sharks. And I mean handling as in where to put the bait and how to guide the shark in, because what I need to, here's the skiff there. I need the shark to come in like this, and the bait must guide the shark in like a carrot in front of a donkey, and the shark must come up, and then the bait must guide this. So I'll be standing here, the bait wrangler standing there. So he gets the shark to go past the boat like that, and as it comes past, I lean over and I bang the clamp onto the shark, onto its dorsal fin. But the captain was either too slow and the shark gets the bait, and then it's just a mess. So you can't put a clamp onto the shark. Otherwise, it was too fast, and he pulled the bait away too fast, and the shark just veered off when it was still a meter away. And we tried forever. We tried the whole afternoon, and eventually I was exhausted. And he's the captain of the boat. It's his operation. I'm wanting to take a piece of tuna and smack him in the head with it. I'm getting so pissed off. And it's like, I can be pretty blunt, and I'm used to leading the team, and I am team leader on this project, but I don't embarrass him in front of his crew and that. But I was getting so frustrated, so angry, and he just was fucking it up completely every single time. That's it, and I'm trying to coach him, and eventually we managed to get the clamp onto the shark, and I coach him, and I tell him exactly what he must do and how he must do it, and slowly but surely he starts getting it right. And the one time the shark comes past, and it just comes past perfectly, and I basically dive, almost break my ribs. I dive onto the side of the boat, and I hit that camera onto the shark. But what I did, I took a thick monofilament line, because I saw that this is not going to be easy. If they had a number of cameras, I don't know how many cameras they had, So if we lost one, it wasn't a problem, and we had these tubes. But working with these guys and them not knowing how to deal with the sharks in that situation, actually from a scientific point of view and a real close working situation, I realized that we're only going to get maybe 1 or 2 chances to get a camera onto a shark. And I designed a little link on one of the springs, or the springs on the spring loading system on the camera, so that also galvanic, so that once a shark was down there for a while, and I filed the link down very thin, so it would only stay on the shark for about half an hour, and those sharks stayed in the area. They didn't leave the area, and the camera would come up somewhere and we'd go find it. But because I could see that our window of opportunity here was going to be very difficult, what I did, I put a thick piece of monofilament onto the actual fin cam, and we got the fin cam onto the shark, and the shark didn't really react, swam around, and I just gave it lots of monofilament, lots of line, because I only needed a short shot. It was an important shot, but it didn't have to be. It wasn't about going into the life of the great white shark. You can't do that in 3 or 4 days. That is what we did with BBC. Anyway, so I feed this line out, and eventually they reckon, okay, enough. They think they got enough footage, and then I just pulled the camera off the shark and just pulled it back to the boat. And thank goodness it was successful. And that's something I'm very proud of. We have done so many shoots, and we've done the impossible. And I'm going to even tell you what we did with the Michael Phelps shoot. And we have never failed. We've always succeeded in the project. And every single film crew that have come out with us, they've all got the shots. And that is working with a professional team. And it's a very exciting thing. You learn so much, and you do so much, and you're pushing the limits all the time. Anyway, I'll tell you another story.